not in technology. He's the kind of a global evangelist for biochar. It's a soil amendment, but he gets to travel the world and talk to farmers, big and small, about this invention. Well, it's not an invention, it's like a million years old, but the company is in Wayne or in Chester County somewhere. And it's organic, and he's a character, as you can imagine. He calls himself Biochar Bob, and he's got a great YouTube channel. After that, Peter Stritt from People Links, which is a LinkedIn add-on based in Philly. And after that, our first pharmaceutical kind of startup, Lars Knudsen. Tomorrow night is Night Owls, our other weekly event, and we do demos through that. I don't think we have a demo tomorrow night, but we have one coming up soon from local entrepreneur Monique Giroux, who invented bond bids. More on that. Thanks to our sponsors, Fox Rothschild, Chester County Economic Development Council, Hankin Group. They run an incubator for biotech in Exton, and Goshen Group. They're partners with us in techjobs.walnutstreetlabs.com. And Igniter TV, who is Sean Dominski, really, also known as, he's changing his name legally, right? And he's been doing the live streaming onto YouTube. So thanks to him, and thanks to Jaron and Mike from 23 North for documenting this in short form and photos. We share this stuff like crazy. So if you see it in your Twitter stream, please share it. And if you know anybody who would like to do this or come, invite them. It's free every week. We're going to do 52 this year too. So, any questions? All right, one more round of applause for Melissa. We're going to do, I think Ben told you, like half content and half QA. I'll come back and facilitate QA. So let me know.
Is this on? Okay.
Is that on? Okay.
Cool. All right. Hey everybody, I'm Melissa. Quick thank you to Ben, who contacted me right when I started my business, and we chatted. He was really supportive, and then Walnut Street Labs and Chris for bringing me out here. I didn't know what to talk about at first, but I've been talking about myself and this concept I created, the Hive, which isn't a new concept. It's a co-working space in Philadelphia. So I've just been, talking a lot about it. So I kind of decided to maybe take a look back down memory lane to see, if there's anything that shoots out or pops out to me about why I am where I am right now, which is in front of you all talking. So that's me in high school. I went to a boarding school in Connecticut, and
We're good.
We're good now. All right. And I guess I wanted to share my story because it's kind of unconventional in a way, and see if you all have questions about everything I've done so far. So, slider person, Chris. It's only like 5 slides, so don't worry. It's not that bad. Cool. So I'm going to start at 2010. That's when I graduated from Temple University. So I was a marketing student there, and I was really involved in Greek life. It was like a small South Asian sorority. There was like 10 of us, and it was pretty exciting. I used the Greek organization I was a part of to kind of propel me into leadership roles. So we were pretty new on campus, so I saw a lot of potential for growth as an organization. And I'm a Leo, so I'm a power-hungry kind of person. So I became president of my sorority, and then I later became president of the Multicultural Greek Council there. So I really learned how to speak with people. I used to be really bitchy and rude, supposedly. I don't know. Rumor has it. But I learned how to speak with people and be diplomatic and just work with other personalities. I think it was always just I was always so independent with working. And so this was a good learning process. So after I graduated, I didn't know what to do. And I guess I've been an entrepreneur for a while now. I remember in, when was it? 6th grade, I used to sell, I used to get a bunch of magazines. I was obsessed with teen magazines, 17, Teen Vogue, all of that. And I realized that the guys in my class, they kind of felt weird about buying those magazines because it's a primarily female, demographic who purchases those and whatnot. And so they'd come to my locker and be like, wow, you have pictures of Sarah Michelle Gellar and Jennifer Love Hewitt. Like, we want like hot chicks in our lockers, but they didn't want to buy the magazines to cut them out and do the work. So I saw this opportunity where I cut out photos from these magazines of like these TV stars and superstars, movie stars, whatever, and I bundled them and like sold them for $1 to people. I think I made like $5, but it was pretty cool because it was just such a random idea. So that was 6th grade. So after college, I'm completely obsessed with marketing. So I had my big sister in the sorority. She would make paddles, and there's a huge market for that because every season or session or whatever semester, big sisters, little sisters, just everyone buys paddles for one another, and it's not for what you think. It's for decoration purposes. It's kind of like a trophy, symbol, whatnot. So yeah, we made a paddle business called Woodworks Paddles, and we profited very well. Our margin was huge. Like we'd go to Home Depot and buy wood for like $11 and then sell that paddle for $60. So it was fun. I was working 2 jobs there at the time, and I'd go down to the city. I was living with my parents in Wayne. I'd go down to the city and help her carve these paddles, and I would do most of the marketing and the web and the graphics. This was actually one of my first logos, which was awful. You'll see my progression through design throughout this presentation, and hopefully it ends up being better in 2015. We'll see. But I actually had a friend that reached out to me. He's like, I'm going to make you a better logo because that one's kind of weird. So I was like, all right, cool. So yeah, that's me graduating. And then I also simultaneously started a blog, 2010. So the blog was a way for me to kind of get better at writing. I've always enjoyed writing, but I never really had the confidence of being a writer. And I also have the worst memory, so I wanted to write a blog as like an online diary so I can remember things, which is awesome because then I'm remembering stuff like now about what I've done and what I've written on the blog. And so when I talked about my blog getting attention from other people, so 215 Magazine is like a pop culture, arts, entertainment, lifestyle website that's in Philadelphia. And so I started writing for them, and I became their style editor. And it was really exciting because it really pushed me into the world, a new world, basically, of people and connections and Philadelphians and culture. So, and it also showed me how to run a magazine and what not to do. So I ended up leaving 215 Mag just because there are a few restrictions or whatnot. They're a great site. This is being recorded, crap. But yeah, I'm still friends with a bunch of people there, and I met a lot of great people. But I realized that I wanted to do something where I was in full control, again, power hungry. So that's when I started my own site again. And then so in 2012, I call 2012 the year of freelance, basically. That's when I fully went freelance. I quit my job, my SEO job, after a year. And I guess I just realized I wanted to work for myself. So I quit my job in August, and I started hostessing at a Thai restaurant because I love Thai food, and it was down the block. And I don't know, I've always wanted to be in the service industry and just meet people again. So I was working at this Thai restaurant, and at night I would just teach myself how to make like websites on WordPress, and I would like stock companies and kind of get this aesthetic down. I tell a lot of people now in terms of design, like, you're not born knowing Photoshop, you're not born knowing design, you just have to kind of build that up. So I spent a lot of time on like Pinterest. You have to get that eye for things to really develop like your sense of style or your sense of design or whatnot. So Chris, can you just do the next slide? Sorry. Cool. So 2012 is when I started and launched my own businesses. My parents had no idea what I was doing. I didn't have any idea what I was doing, but I knew that I loved the freedom, and I just loved being kind of like in the wild, basically, with my career and my life and figuring it all out. Like, it really, when you go freelance or when you do something on your own, it really pushes you to learn the art of the hustle. And it really, like, I had rent to pay. So that's why I got the hostessing job at a Thai restaurant. And then I would pass out flyers in Chinatown. Like, so I was a brand ambassador. There was one time I was a brand ambassador for Keurig at like a Lowe's in the Northeast, handing out samples for coffee. Like, so you kind of, it humbles you, but it's also really fun and random, and it pays really well. So that was exciting. And so meanwhile, while I was doing all these random gigs and side jobs, I was slowly building my blog up. One of the reasons why I quit my SEO job was because I didn't feel creative anymore. Like there was just this, I felt like, not leash, but just my creativity was blocked. And for me personally, that just was horrendous. So like I knew I had to quit. I wasn't blogging as much. I was in this routine that I hated. And I learned a lot at that job, but I knew I could be better off by myself. So I started making, like the day I quit that SEO job, I got a referral for a website because I'd already been blogging. So my friend referred me to one of her friends. She's like, oh, you have a blog. Can you make a website or like change this woman's website? And she had this really old like Google site thing, and it was like it looked awful. And I just, for me personally, when I see bad branding, it like hurts my soul. So I was like, yes, I'll teach myself and like help her build like a better digital presence. So I built her a WordPress, and from there, I started getting really involved in the blogger community because I had the free time because I didn't really have like a full-time job. So within the blogger community, I was networking a lot. I was attending a lot of events. I was tweeting a lot. It's really like when you are freelance and when you're trying to build a community or a following, it's not one-sided. Like you have to be also approachable, and you also have to communicate with people. So these bloggers saw my blog and stuff that I was doing, and if you don't tell people what you do, they're not going to know. So I would tell people, yeah, I do like design, or I make websites and stuff. I would go to these events, and then I'd get clients. So like the return on investment for me getting dressed up and driving my car to these events was great because I was getting clients. So these are just like, this is my blog, Ring the Alarm. That's also my social media handle if you want to follow me later. But I had a bunch of different designs. I just wanted to show you like the evolution as well. This is my portfolio site. I started teaching workshops. And so 2012 was a really great year because I started just really figuring out my life and what I like to do. And I like teaching workshops, and I liked freelance work I was doing, just kind of figuring out solutions. And if a client needed something that I didn't know, I'd say yes and just Google it. I spent a lot of time on Google figuring things out. So I started another business, and that was in 2013. Next slide. So 2013, I kind of had like a good foothold in the freelance world. I was still building myself up. So this is me, obviously, in one of my first studio spaces, which was near Temple, in like a warehouse on the 4th floor, super cold. I ended up not going in there as much. I think this was like one of the only times just me sitting here and going in and working. But I realized it was a bad investment, even though it was like a private studio. I just wasn't utilizing it. It was in the hood, so I couldn't bring a lot of people out there. It just wasn't safe. And that's also when I started to build some other businesses, which are here now. So I had Blog Bloom. I love teaching workshops, so I was like, let me start a workshop or a company that would teach workshops and be all cutesy, and we'd have like full day workshops, catered lunch, and I would go through with the students that signed up how to build a blog. So we'd start from the domain and hosting. We'd pick out like a theme. I'd help them install it and go through all the kinks and whatnot, quirks of WordPress, and then they would leave with a full blog to start. So that was fun. I also taught workshops on like design. I mean, I'm not a pro, but I figured I have a step up than most people, so I would teach them that step up. And yeah, this is one of my first workshops. I was charged $450, so I was making bank. But only like 3 people signed up, so I only made bank like 3 times. So yeah, because I realized soon after the Philadelphia market is just not as rich as I wanted it to be. I would read these blogs in LA and New York and see these like glamorous lifestyles of these bloggers and be like, I want to do that here in Philly, and then I'd get like a cold reminder that it's Philadelphia. So main line's where the money's at, I'll tell you that. So I also started Femme Fortune, and that was like my first logo. It's funny going back as well, because it's like, good God, what did I do? So Femme Fortune is a magazine. It's an online magazine, and how that started was around January of 2013. Again, I knew I wanted something bigger than just my blog, and I was ready for something more professional than what I had with Walk of Lame. And I wanted, so growing up, again, I've mentioned that I read a lot of magazines and whatnot. So I've always had this idea of working for like Glamour or Allure magazine or in New York, but I wasn't going to move to New York. So I was like, you know what? I know how to make a website. Why don't I just start a magazine? Because I've also worked with other ones like 215 Mag, and I'm familiar with like the editorial process. Why not just start one? So again, bought the domain. It took me 3 months to think of the name, and it was just random. My boyfriend at the time, we were just brainstorming in my bedroom at like 3 a.m. and I was like, again on Google, and there was like this dress called Femme Fortune on ModCloth. Hopefully they don't sue me, but I just love the name because it reminded me of building a career as well as just being a woman. So I don't know when the trigger was for me to be on this path of like female empowerment. I guess it was just gradually building inside of me. But Femme Fortune was a big step because it was an online magazine catered to ambitious women. So I started that with a co-founder, a friend of mine who attended my first workshop back in 2012. Her name was Celestine. We're still good friends to this day. And I loved her like eye for things and her design. And she was a barista. I went to her coffee shop one day with a proposal. I was like, hey, I know you have time because you're a barista. And I'm a freelancer. Do you want to start this with me? Because I have this idea and I can't do it by myself and I need someone to help me launch. And she was like, yeah. And she was totally with it. And she brought a lot to the table and she was such a quick learner. Like it was so great meeting someone that could like, I don't want to say keep up, but could also teach me things. And like, it was just such a great relationship. So we built Femme Fortune. We had this launch party. A bunch of our friends came. Again, because I was already in the blogger community, I had this like, this stance or this position there that I could bring people, like people knew who I was. It wasn't just like me starting something completely new. And yeah, so Femme Fortune was running. It was like a passion project of mine as I was also diving deep into freelance work. I brought Celestine on because she was so great and such a quick learner. I brought her on and shared clients with her. And that's when we started a company called Veritas Creative where we would just make websites for clients. And that was 2013. It was just really a lot of hibernating and working and kind of launching these ideas. And then fast forward to last year, 2014, which is probably like the year that changed my life, I'll say. Next slide. How's everyone doing? Good? All right. So 2014, this is when I decided to get a little cooler with my branding and use serifs and stick to like one color palette and stuff. So 2014, I decided I moved, I had my blog at ringthealarm.com, but I felt this disconnect as a blogger and also as a consultant with the site because I felt it was too goofy. So I decided to move everything to melissaalam.com, which was originally hosting my portfolio. Once I moved that, I felt so much at home, literally. Like when you're on your own domain, I don't know, that's probably geek talk, but like, it just feels so good. But because you have like this responsibility now when you have your business on your own name because you can't like hide behind some business name. So I decided to be a strategic brand developer, something I coined kind of, mixed a bunch of words together, and create a new logo, which I still use to this day. I upped the ante on Femme Fortune. So this past year, I've been doing a lot more interviews. So the site features a lot of women where I interview them. One of my first interviews was Christy right here in the audience. She's a boutique owner, Niche Boutique, go visit later. But I interviewed her and I started interviewing women and I realized all these women that I was meeting and talking to were building these awesome businesses. And in my mind, I'm like, if they can do it, why can't I? So early 2014, or like around June in the summer, I would tell this story to some people, but I was with some of my sorority sisters. We were all hanging out, and I was just kind of in a lull. Like, I've been freelancing for about 2 years in 24 at that time, and I just didn't know what the next step would be. I was like, should I move to a new city? All I need is Wi-Fi to work, and I can just work and get clients anywhere. Should I move back home? At the time, I was living in this apartment just by myself in Fairmount, downtown, and I was paying a lot because I originally had that with my ex-boyfriend at the time. Anyway, so I was just like, why am I paying so much for rent? Should I get a roommate? Should I move back home with my parents and Wayne? I was at this weird standstill of my career again. I wasn't happy with it, and I knew something needed to change. And my one really good friend, she was like, Melissa, right now you're a freshman in Philadelphia, and before you move somewhere, we use this high school terminology at this meeting or whatever we had, hangout sesh. She was like, before you move somewhere and start your freelance career or whatever, you need to be a senior in Philadelphia, because if you move somewhere, you're gonna lose those 2 years of being this freshman and start over being a freshman somewhere else. And I was like, that makes sense. I'd rather be a senior here in Philadelphia and have that stature and have that maybe better clients or whatnot, or bigger clients, and then move somewhere. So I was like, you're right. And that was a big slap to the face, because I was just like, I've been working for 2 years on my own. I can't believe I'm still a freshman. Give me a break, And so that kind of started the gears rolling in my head to be like, get your shit together, Melissa. Do something bigger, because you can. So that was in June. And then throughout this process, in 2013, I got a mentor. And I find the mentorship role very, very important. When I first met her, I knew about her. She owns a branding agency. So because I was in the agency realm, I knew about her. And I met with her for coffee one day. And she was so cool. She's a few years older than me, and just badass in business. And it was weird. I went back to my friends. I was like, I want her to be my mentor. Do I ask her to go study with me? How do I, it felt weird, this relationship. I was like, should I ask her out or something? So we continued to have coffee and whatnot. And one meeting, I was like, Antoinette is her name. I was like, Antoinette, I kind of want to host a conference with Femme Fortune for women. And she was like, well, I want to host a conference as well. And I was like, do you want to host it together? And that was kind of me asking her to go study. So we were like, yeah, let's do it. And so this partnership was built, and this mentorship was built, and this relationship and friendship was also built. So it was pretty exciting. I'd meet with her, and we'd email back and forth. And part of this relation also stemmed from there was a meetup or a startup conference in Philadelphia, and I wanted to go, and I looked at the roster of the speakers, and they were all male. And I was like, what is, I just didn't get it. So I tweeted her, I was like, I wanted to go to this, but all the speakers are male. And she's like, yeah, this is how it is. I saw the same thing. And that's when I kind of also realized in my head, all right, things kind of need to change a little, and I'll sacrifice myself for that change, I guess. But so we started meeting. We decided to name this conference FemCon, and we started building it out. Her branding agency did all the branding, which is awesome, because they use great fonts, and I really liked it. And that's actually currently on the back burner. But moving back to 2014, the summer, after someone called me a freshman and I got pissed off, around August, I was at SIPS, which is happy hour in the city every Wednesday. And it was, I guess, just, serendipity, fate, whatever you might call it. I was sitting behind a tree, kind of drunk. It was SIPS. And one of her employees sees me, and I go up to him, I'm like, hey, Chris, what's up? We start talking. And he's like, oh, yeah, we just put the office up on Craigslist. And I was like, really? How much is it? And he told me. And that's when I kind of sobered up right away. It was just a lightning flash in my eyes or something. I don't know what happened. I went and sat back down, went on my phone, downloaded the Craigslist app, and just started searching tech office old city, like whatever search query I could think of that they would put down. And I found it, and I like read through like the listing and the price, and I was like, whoa, I could afford this if I moved out of my apartment that I was living in Fairmount, and got like maybe 1 or 2 more clients. And so that was like the big, just like, punch to my face where I'm like, all right, I have to take this opportunity because I can do this. Like this was I knew this would be me turning a freshman to maybe a junior, even maybe a senior, I don't know. So I texted my mentor right away. I was like, I saw your listing. My mind's blowing up with ideas right now. And I want to open a co-working space for women because there's not a lot of support. Even when I was freelancing, like I would just read blogs a lot. I really soaked in a lot of information, but people that don't know or don't have the time for that need kind of like a physical resource sometimes to like come and take workshops or teach or to learn about how to start a business. I know, and again, it's like also a time factor. Like I spent a lot of time on Google, and I know people can't do that. So I decided, all right, at first I was like, okay, if I open a co-working space, the space is pretty small. It's like half the size of this room. And I knew from her agency that like 8 people could fit because that's how big her agency was. And so I was like, all right, well, I have a few friends that are also female entrepreneurs. I'll have them in there and just up the ante on my work level so I can like help pay the rent. And so she was like, okay, if you're sure about this idea, like I'm going to tell all the other interested like buyers or tenants, to shoo off and you can have it. And I was like, yeah, I'm totally. And I called my mom right away. I was like, hey, I know you guys wanted me to move back home. Well, guess what? I'm moving back home. But like, I have this crazy idea. Could you support me? And they were like, yeah, sure. Like they just wanted me home. It's really adorable. And I called my landlord right away. And I was like, hey, Jared, I'm going to move out at the end of this month. And he was super cool. I got rid of my apartment the next day. He was already doing viewings in the apartment building, and someone came and took it. It was sad, but things, you got to let go of things sometimes. So I got rid of my apartment the next day. I moved out 2 weeks later back home. And that's kind of what the whirlwind of starting what I call the Hive was. And everything I've done for the Hive has just been very, very like quick, and I haven't had a chance to like think it over. So right now, presently, I'm playing catch up. So the timeline for that was August. I had the idea, and the rest of August I was like packing and moving and getting a storage space and all this stuff. September I signed the lease, and again with the mentorship, like I didn't realize this until after, and my mentor actually told me, she's like, you getting that space, it took us 2 years as like a company, an agency to get that space. Like, just you getting it was very, I vouched for you basically. And she said it nicer, obviously, but I realized, like, I was like, you're right. I only signed 1 paper and I got an office right away. Like it was just very, very, just easy, and I didn't realize that, and I didn't appreciate it as much until she told me. So it's important to kind of take a look around, step back sometimes, and realize like how much help other people are providing for you, or how much support they're providing, and really, really let them know that you're so thankful about that. So September 1st, I signed the lease, and I paid my deposit. Thankfully, my mom's been saving her money since like ever. And we're not like a very rich family. So my parents are from Bangladesh. They are immigrants. I'm first generation here in America. And my dad has been going through what's called I call the education route. So he went to England at first for like his master's, and then Canada for his something else, and then PhD here in America, and that's where I was born. And then he's just been teaching. So he's a teacher out at Valley Forge Military College right now, so that's why we live in Wayne. But so he's been going through this like whole educational trajectory that I've been following. Obviously, my mom, our whole family, thankfully, and my mom, meanwhile, like when she married him, she didn't graduate from college. She never went to college. She's a village. She grew up in a little village. Like when I would visit, we'd stay in a tin hut, basically, and you could hear the rain on the tin, like when it would rain. It was just like very interesting. We'd shower in this pond. Really fun stuff back in the motherland. But So she never graduated from college. She is just a fast learner, and also when you grow up and you realize like how you can take a step back again and like process everything you've seen, you've experienced, and you realize like, whoa, like my mom was like one of the first entrepreneurs in my life, and I had no idea. Like she started a daycare business in her apartment, and there's like pictures of me and like all these colors of babies like on the ground from like the neighbors that we were just babysitting and I'd help her with. And she was a seamstress, so she'd make clothes and tailor stuff, and she had that business. And then now she just kind of like works half like 6 months of the year at this middle school, and then she goes to Bangladesh for the rest of the year because all of her family's there. So she's been saving up, and it's been really inspiring for me to see that. Inspires me to save up money when I find some money, but she's just helped me throughout this process. So September, I signed the lease, paid the deposit, and all of September was just like, hey, I guess I got to build this business now. Technically Philly picked it up from my assistant at the time. She kind of emailed Juliana, who was here for a previous meetup, and was like, oh, I think there's a co-working space for women being built, and picked up right away. And I think that's what kind of made it go viral in a way. And from there, I've been picked up by a lot of other news outlets and media in Philadelphia because it's a new concept, and it's kind of controversial because it's like a girls only club, which is interesting because I love both genders, so just wanted to state that. But I wanted to build a niche. So my background, again, is brand strategy. So I wasn't going to open another co-working space that was the same type of space. I was also previously working at another co-working space. So I knew the community and the benefits of it, but I wanted something different. And then also the space is so small. Like if I had another space, like why would anyone come there? But I knew that if I was a little more strategic and had a niche, which I was already building with Femme Fortune, all women, it might be a little different. So I didn't expect any of this. I honestly expected, all right, 3 of my friends will just come in and work, and I'll just have to pay the whole rent. But after like it went on to the media or whatnot, I got a lot of interest from women. It's kind of funny to be pushed in this position, but it's kind of what I've been building myself up to become, and kind of what I've wanted to deal with, which is, you know, the pressures of having a small business or a startup. It's exciting. So. The Hive is located in Old City. I got the keys to the space in October. So all of September I was like business building, marketing, social mediaing, all this stuff, and dealing with like press and all this stuff, and trying to actually figure out a business plan, because all these media outlets were asking me questions, and I was like, well, thanks, because I'm going to gear that towards my business plan now. Like, because I had no idea what I was doing. So October, I got the keys to the space. In October, I was just like, I made like 1 million trips to Target and IKEA. I was just like painting, building out the space, buying everything. I used a lot of my consulting money that I had kind of saved up from not living at home or living in my apartment. And then I also got some more money from my mom, thankfully. And then November 1st, I launched. So I think when you have like a business or an idea, it's good to have guidelines or deadlines or just due dates for things, because I knew I was like, all right, month-to-month process. It kind of pushed me to like start, and rent is a huge factor because I knew rent was due November, so I was like, let me just open in a month. So I opened in a month, about 10 women signed up, and now I'm running this co-working space. And it's funny, and I've read this a lot, like your business model will change, you'll have to pivot, you'll have to adapt, and that's true. I've changed a lot of what I first envisioned the Hive to be, and I've just kind of molded it to what the community wants. And it's really important to be transparent as well. So I've been blogging about it and tweeting about it. I've been Instagramming a lot, just so people can see my journey and like see just what I'm doing. And yeah, so I guess currently, the last slide. Sorry, Chris. So we're in the year 2015. So everything was just like a whirlwind and happened so quickly. And I'm still learning. And it's been a lot. But so this is 2015, and I wanted to I was going through like my old blog, and if you ever, I don't know if you guys know this trick, but archive.org, you can kind of go back and see sites and stuff, which is pretty fun. So I got this from one of my tabs from that original blog I had, That's What She Said, was called The Goods, and I couldn't even remember what I put on it, so I clicked on that last night, and it was, I wrote, this is where I write about what I can offer to the world, so here it is. And so it's like these, I don't know, is it my mantra or something? It was just like, I'm sarcastic and like to make fun of random things. I'm extremely creative. I don't know if it was just like, all right, Melissa, I'm going to boost myself up tonight and write this stuff. And I don't know what it was. But it's funny because coming back now, I think I would want to redo that page or write it down somewhere. I have chalkboard all over my walls in my apartment. Be like, what am I good at? And kind of, you have to realign yourself personally as you own a business to be, what's changed from now than before, how have I developed, what are my skill sets now? So that's what I'm trying to figure out. And so right now, it's a lot of event planning. Currently with the Hive, I'm throwing an event tonight with one of our members. She is a health and weight loss coach, and she's going to talk about how to eat healthy as an entrepreneur. And so I'm really developing the mold for the Hive. I want it to have creative and wellness and just fun events. We're going to have an open mic night in February. And I also want to have business events. So I'm going to be teaching a social media audit class, design. Again, what I'm good at and what I like to do, workshops. So I have this space. Why not host a lot of them every night or every other week? So yeah, we have a lot of events and programming planned. And then another aspect about having a business is to think about the bigger picture. So yeah, there's a day-to-day of like, oh, I have to do my invoicing. Oh, I have to do the social media posts. Oh, I have to respond to these emails. But also spend time to do the bigger picture items. So for me, I want to host an award ceremony for women in STEM. So that's going to hopefully happen during Philly Tech Week. I haven't even said that anywhere, but now I guess I have to do it. So yeah, it's going to be called the Hive Awards, and I still want to do the conference called FemCon with my mentor once we kind of like chill out and have a little more time. She just moved to a new office, so she's been busy with that. And then yeah, just the sky's the limit now, I've realized. I think with enough support and enough people to help you, and that's like in my case, I've been using up a lot of favors. So trading services earlier on in my career and helping people out with their website, just being available for people has really come and karmically helped me out, I guess, to build this business, which I'm thankful for. So, but it's always a continuous process. So I need to keep, building out those favors. And yeah, so sky's the limit. I want to host bigger, more badass events and hopefully take the Hive national, have a Hive community in a lot of other cities that don't have a center or a space for women to work out of or be involved in a community or network or find a mentor. I want to start a mentorship program because I know the benefits of that and what I've experienced. So that is that my time? I don't know.
Well, no,
yeah. So.
After doing 55 or 6 of these, you kind of see some trends, right? Like with what people, what entrepreneurs do, and it's pretty clear, like that. This is the first one I wrote down. That you're in something. You might not be the best. Your design might not be the best, but you're relentless. You know that it's going to get better. We had a songwriter in here for one like our 10th startup meetup and talk about the creative process. And he shared a story about his brother looked at him and said, "Man, your voice sucks." But he's got an amazing voice, and he sang to us. But he kept going, even though the world doesn't tell you, "Oh, you're great, keep going." It's like that's something that's compelling. I'm glad you shared that. I've got other ones too, but let's hear from the audience. House rules: just state your name and introduce yourself. So, any questions or comments for Melissa?
Yeah.
Michael Gutman, Walnut Street Labs.
Hello.
So, I have two questions. The first is, there are a number of other co-working spaces for women in other cities, including some that are franchised. So, how do you expect to deal with them, either on a cooperative or competitive basis?
Yeah.
And the second question somewhat relates to the first.
Yeah.
And the other question is, other than it being exclusively women, what services are you interested in offering that might be specifically interesting to women, like, for example, on-site childcare?
So for the first question about, so I did some research when I started this business, and there are a few other cities, but not a lot. So I know there's a thing called Hera Hub, which is down in like SoCal. So my goal is to not go to those cities in a way. So I want to start in cities that don't have female co-working spaces. And sometimes I actually got reached out by this woman emailed me from Palm Beach, Florida. She's like, bring the Hive down here. Like they had a co-working space, but it's shut down. And she's like, we had 100 members. Now we don't know where to go. We love your idea. Come down here. So yeah, I would want to reach markets that don't have, the specific thing I'm offering. And then in terms of what do I offer? So a lot of these other spaces, like every co-working space has a different demographic, whether it's more business professional, more tech and design, et cetera. So what I feel like I'm trying to build a community of millennial women in a way, which is different than some of the other co-working spaces where they might gear towards more professional women that are in their business for 5 years plus. I'm trying to cultivate the younger people that are just maybe, women that have the idea of their business, like students, to maybe 2 years of running their business, like myself. So that's the market I'm trying to target to. And in terms of offering, it's a community, so I try and have like fun events. The programming's a little more unique, and also kind of these platforms and these opportunities I'm building. So the award show, a mentorship program, and our events are actually open to male and female. So that's like tonight we've got like 3 guys coming in to the workshop. So that's the thing. During the day, 9 to 6, it's all female because that's what the space allows. But then afterwards, it's open from all male and female because I'm going to be teaching business workshops. So it's not just about women 24/7. I'm also, the creative community. Like my friends also want to come and learn from me or learn from other people. So I'm opening the door up for that as well. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, still building it out, but yeah.
Kyle Hudson, 22 North Digital. I think it's a great idea, but have you come against, I know you mentioned that there's some animosity towards like women's only organizations. Have you encountered any of that? If you did, like, how did you confront that?
Yeah, just never read the comment sections of articles that you might be in. So yeah, of course people are going to be like, well, yeah, I love a good hater. A lot of people are like, well, if we open a male-only space, there would be an outcry, and that's great. Just do it. I would dare you to open a male-only space because that would be very entrepreneurial of you instead of you talking on a comment section of Philly.com. I just don't let it get to me because I know what I'm doing is supportive of a lot of people, and it's different. Again, like I try and relate things back to like my brand strategy background is like, why would I do something the same as everybody? So I have a niche, and it's getting more popular every day. The readership on Femme Fortune has also increased, and a lot of women have come up to me being like, we don't have this community here, or like, thanks for these articles, and you're like, this is all inspiring. Like the word is just, people are inspired now, and that's my goal, not the gender inequality. My goal is to inspire a market that I can reach. And hey, maybe 5 years from now, I'll open a co-ed space. I don't know. Because again, I'm not like gender biased, but yeah, I just don't deal with it. I don't comment back. I have a lot of like friends that comment back, so it's kind of funny to see them, like retweet stuff and like whatever, but brush it off my shoulders.
Hi, it's Stacey Grant from Koi Fly Creative Productions. As I'm sitting here, like I've been in business for a long time, and I don't know how old you are, maybe in your early 20s.
13.
Yeah, I'm 26. What I want to know is, and I've interviewed a lot of people your age, and where does your confidence come from, and why do you think that you have no fear? And also, like, have you ever failed?
All right, so confidence, I guess I mean, throughout building up my freelance career, I realized that if I don't put my foot down on stuff, like clients will run me over. So, I mean, I think confidence is always just like a ladder you're climbing. You're never gonna be like fully confident if you. Everyone has weak spots. So I'm still building that up, yeah, just try and like be me, be myself, basically. And if that's confidence to you,
It's just
then
innate,
yay,
right? It's
yeah.
just innate. Okay.
Yeah. And do I have any? What was the other question?
Have you ever failed?
Yeah. I mean, failure is a good thing, and I've failed a lot, I guess. But the thing with me is I always find a plan B. So like, yeah, I failed at like surviving a 9-to-5, a really good agency job with health insurance. I miss you, health insurance. But like, there's always a plan B, you know? So that's when I'm more of a glass half full kind of person, and I like to just enjoy life. And yeah, there's obstacles, and for fear, I am scared every day because rent's coming up, and like I moved back to the city when I opened the Hive, so I have like apartment rent to pay, and co-working spaces are very, very hard to maintain, and that's something some people told me before, but I was like, whatever, women will come. If you build it, they will come, right? So yeah, there's fear every day. They're gonna shut my Comcast bill the other day off, like, so you know, I have to think of a plan B. Sometimes it's credit cards. Sometimes it's, hey mom, how's that bank of yours? Like, you know, like you have to kind of level yourself and be humble and kind of just deal with it too. And again, plan B, sometimes just reaching out to new people. So I am setting up meetings with other people to help me out with stuff. And yeah, it's just plan B, but I am scared on the inside.
Good.
Jim?
Jim Breslin, Westchester Story Slam. So is a co-working space, are you able to pay yourself any type of management fee, part-time salary, or are you really still doing your freelance work as your day job?
Yeah.
And co-working is labor of love?
So the idea for this co-working space was that I would also be a member. And because I have my own business and I love client work and stuff like that. So I do not pay myself. I did use the company card to pay gas, so oops, but I figured that's all I could do. But the goal is to eventually pay myself, because I would like that. I'd like a salary again for the work I'm doing. But I know it's like it's going to be a struggle for the first few months, obviously. So it's really just kind of just maintaining right now. And the goal is to turn it into a nonprofit. So I'm in the process of turning the Hive into a nonprofit, so it kind of aligns with the mission a little more. And it'll be tax deductible for our members and donors and whatnot. There's just more funding if I become a nonprofit. And so, yeah, I'm in that process. I'm applying for grants. I've sent in 2 applications so far. Fingers crossed I get that money. But right now I'm really worried more about the level of programming we have and the community we're building. So, I mean, I'm fine. I could always move back home. I have that like crutch. So I'm not worried too much about that. I want to maintain this idea and this concept because I can't fail. Basically, I know I won't fail. So that's like a mantra I said to myself when I started this business. Like, Melissa, you will not fail. You will not fail. So yeah, eventually I'd love a salary, but maybe realistically, maybe in a year from now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your name?
Amanda.
Amanda.
Yeah, Amanda from Microsoft. Hi.
Hello.
I just wanted to ask, started your talk, you were saying that you said you dealt with people thinking that you were too bitchy or whatever when you were, first younger. And I thought, I remember dealing with that. And do you think that is a common thing that people say about women with ambition as opposed to men with ambition who are just assertive?
Yeah.
Right? Do you think that you have to deal with a lot more like tone policing when you're being assertive than a man would?
That's actually funny because I never really realized that, but it's funny because the people that were telling me this were also female. So that's why I found it very hard. I was in college and I just came out fresh from boarding school, and to have people be like, you need to talk nicer to us. And I was like, we need to build this organization or we will fail. Like, so my mindset was like, this is an organization. And I love the sisterhood aspect, but we are an organization and we need to grow. So my mindset was always business, business, business. So hearing that from other women was interesting. But yeah, I guess it's true. I mean, I guess people with ambition in general will get, you know, I've realized from my leadership roles with my sorority life and Greek council and whatnot, that anyone in power will be hated upon. So I have a lot of respect for people with power and leaders and CEOs and presidents, because I know from my minor roles that like any idea or anything you push to achieve will always have drawbacks or people that won't agree, and you just have to deal with that. So being gender biased, yeah, I think anyone with ambition will have people that will come up against them. But I think personally as a woman, that's where you kind of have to put your foot down and just kind of compromise in a way. That's what I've learned a lot, is compromise. Like, all right, we'll deal with this, but we're also going to deal with this for half of our time. Or we're going to split up the sisters and go to this event and this event. So like dealing with compromise and again, finding a plan B to those situations is how I deal with that.
So we're actually out of time, but everyone who's been here knows that you're free to hang out, drink coffee, ask more questions. We don't really kick you out until like 10:45. And we'll still be here, I think, for a little while.
Fill my meter up first, but I'll be back.
Cool. I bookmarked 2 articles in the New York Times recently. One was called Speaking Well Female, and it said that in the last, when President Obama held his last news conference in 2014, he called only on 8 reporters, all women, and it made headlines worldwide. Had a politician given only men a chance to ask questions, it would not have been news, it would have been a regular day. And I feel like that was
Why be regular, you know? It's a little weird.
And there's another article in Gray Matter, why some teams are smarter than others, and it talks about the ratio of men to women to men. It's pretty interesting. I'll share it if anybody wants to see it. But let's give Melissa a round of applause for coming. And you can see the whole thing on our YouTube channel, and then later today we'll have like a 2-minute summary. You can check that out, and hopefully see some of you next week. All right, cool. Hit it soon.